Hello,
How are you, Tiaba?
I'm good. And you?
I'm fine.
Mhm.
Doing okay?
Yes.
All right, good.
Mhm.
It's been really hot here, right?
Yeah,
It's like summertime already.
yeah, it's summertime. Yes.
We still have another month before summer begins. So I don't know. I think spring is finished. I think spring has disappeared.
Yeah, it's look like.
Yeah, my wife and I were talking. It seems like spring just keeps getting shorter and shorter, and summer just keeps getting longer and longer.
Yes, yes.
So
It was very hot yesterday.
I know, and I think it's going to be hot again today. Let's see.
Today too?
I don't know. Let's see. What's the temperature today? Well, 86. Yeah, it's going to be hot. I think
Yeah.
I'm looking at the temperature. Maybe next week will be nicer.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Maybe.
good.
Yeah,
I,
I'm ready.
I'm not.
I want spring to return. That's what I want. So,
Yeah.
all right. I see Vladimir. Hey, Vladimir.
How are you doing,
I'm
Sarah?
fine. I'm fine. We were talking about the weather. We were looking at the temperatures. It's been pretty
Yeah,
hot.
it's pretty good. I love it.
I know. You love it. Oh, okay. Well, you're happy then. All right. I don't know if I'm not happy yet. I mean, I like this weather, but maybe July, not June. So or May.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're in May. That's right. So
that's me. That's right.
I know.
But I love that's the way it is.
Well, I mean, certainly it's nice to get outside. It's nice to do things outside. So yes, that
Uh-huh.
is nice.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
I would say it's very nice, but it's very cold. It's very hot.
Yeah,
It's very, very, very hot.
I think next week we were talking. I think next week it's supposed to kind of return to cooler temperatures. I'm looking at the temperatures next week,
Uh-huh.
64, 65. So yeah, that looks better to me.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, well, guys, we're gonna wait maybe one more minute or so. I know today is the schools are closed because of the election, the primary election. So we're gonna wait just another minute or two to get started. Okay. All right. I see Ezra. Hey, Ezra.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So Ezra, is your kid's school closed today?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we thought maybe that's the case. So all right. Well, guys, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So we'll see if anyone else joins us here this morning. So again, we know today was a day off for the schools, so we'll see if anyone else comes. So, but we're so close to the end of the spring session, so I thought, no, we gotta have another class. So, anyway, guys, well, welcome back. It is Tuesday, May 21st. Yes, we're in spring, but it feels like summer. So some people are happy and other people not so much. So, all right. Well, guys, today we're going to continue with some expressions using animals. So if you remember last class, we introduced some expressions. For example, hungry as a horse, or lazy as a dog, right? I feel kind of like the dog right now. Do you guys feel like that dog in the picture? That's how I feel. I don't want to, I'm kind of tired. I don't want to do anything. It's too hot. Yeah, so I kind of feel like that dog right now. Well, anyway, so what we're going to do here this morning is we're going to review some of the expressions from last time, and we're going to learn a few more expressions and talk about some of the ones from last class. So we're going to do that greetings activity, and then we'll take some time to do a little, again, expressions. And then if we have time, we'll see how the subway activity, we may stop after the first activity today, just because, you know, we don't have many students here. I don't really want to repeat the same information, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, guys, we'll see how it goes. But I think we'll go ahead and do the animal expressions here this morning. So again, last week we introduced some expressions that animals, right, we use to describe basic human characteristics. Now, we talked about that maybe you have some expressions in your language where you compare certain behaviors or characteristics to animals. So let's review a little bit of what we learned last class. And then we're going to kind of talk about some new expressions as well. So guys, we're going to use emojis for this first activity. Okay, so again, no microphones, no chat, just emojis. So what I'm going to do is read part of the expression, and then you choose which animal completes the expression. Okay, so here is the first one. Okay, now again, we're using emojis. So which one completes the expression? An eager. So take a look at your choices. We have bat, worm, owl, or beaver. So click on which emoji you think answers the question. So an eager what? Okay, so I see Tiaba has made a guess. Okay, so anybody else here want to make a guess? All right, Ezra's made a guess. Okay. All right, so Vladimir, got a guess? All right, so congratulations. Yes, the answer is eager beaver. Yes, remember beavers are those animals that swim in the water and they build dams. They work really hard, right? They got big teeth, and sometimes you see them eating on trees. That's because they need the trees, right, to build their dams. All right, let's continue. Okay, guys, here's the next one. Okay, so I'm going to clear the screen. All right, so the next one, open a can of, so is it bees, butterflies, worms, or snakes? All right, I see we've made some guesses. Okay. Yeah, this was a little strange, right? Now we're going to talk about this one again this morning. So yes, but you're correct. It's open a can of worms. Open a can of worms. All right, here's the next one. Big as. All right, I think everyone jumped in on this one. Okay. Yeah, so of course, elephants are big, but no, not as big as a whale. Yes, big as a whale. All right, here's the next one. Okay, blank in one's stomach. All right, excellent. Everyone answered that one. Yes. Now, we mentioned in our last class, I think this is the same expression in French, right? Butterflies in your stomach. So I think in this case, this is one that, yeah, it's not really a unique to English, right? All right, here's the next one. Busy as. All right, guys, you guys are jumping on these fast. You guys are busy as a bee. All right, good job. All right, so a lot of these expressions I think we can think about. That makes sense, right? Bees really work hard. Bees are really hardworking. Now, what I'd like to do is let's review the expressions we learned in our last class, and then we're going to learn some new ones today. Okay, so everybody, once again, let's turn on our microphones. Okay, so everybody, let's turn on the microphones, shall we? All right, so guys, let's review these expressions. So repeat after me. To be as blind as a bat.
To be as
To
blind
be
as
as blind as a
as a
bat.
bat.
To be as blind as a mole.
to
To
be
be
as
as
blind
blind
as
as
a
a
mole.
mole.
To be an eager beaver.
To be
To
an
be an
eager
eager
beaver.
beaver. Okay.
To be as lazy as a dog.
To be as
To be as
lazy as
lazy
a
as
dog.
a dog.
Okay, now here are some other ones. So guys, to open a can of worms.
To
To
open a
open a
can of
can of
worms.
worms.
Butterflies in one's stomach.
Butterflies in
Butterflies
one's
as one
stomach.
stomach.
Yeah, now here's some new ones today. A kettle of fish.
A kettle of
Kettle of
fish.
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 Curious as a cat.
Curious as a
As a
cat.
cat.
Curiosity killed the cat.
Curiosity
Curiosity
kills
as
the
Curious as a
cat.
cat.
Cats have 9 lives.
Cats have
Have
Cat have
9
9
lives.
lives.
All right. Now, again, these might be fairly familiar in your example, in your own language too. Okay, you can turn off your mics there for just a moment. Now, I am not going to go back and review the ones from last week. Instead, I'd like to talk about some of these other new ones. So, for example, I'm going to go back for just a moment to some that we talked a little bit about, but I'd like to talk a little bit more about. So again, the first expression, to open a can of worms. Now, we mentioned that worms, for example, those little, they look like little snakes, right? We often use those for fishing. So when you would open a can of worms, right, you would put worms in the can, and to go fishing with those worms, if you open the can, well, then the worms would go everywhere and possibly cause problems. So again, the expression open a can of worms is when we introduce a topic that could possibly bring disagreements or problems. So this expression we often use in the negative to warn people not to discuss these topics. So for example, if you look at my little movies here, notice the first one says, oh buddy, don't open that can of worms. Like, don't talk about this topic, right? Don't talk about this subject. So again, if you remember, we said that often topics like religion, right, politics, these are things that we often should not talk about in like public, parties, for example. So often we might say, oh, let's not talk about this topic. That's a can of worms, right? Don't open that can of worms. Now, if you look at the picture of the baby, I like the baby here because I think the baby realizes, oh, I'm going in the wrong direction. So this baby has opened a can of worms by walking in the wrong way. Oh, as he turns around. I like that. And then notice this picture here. Again, I don't know if you all remember the very popular TV show Friends. This was a very popular TV show here in America. So on the show, this was a particular character, this actor here. He was talking about, you've opened this can of worms. Now we have problems, right? We've got problems everywhere. So that's what he's saying. Worms everywhere, can open, right? So in this case, when we open a can of worms, that means we're talking about something that's, maybe not a good idea. So don't discuss this topic. So in this case, don't open a can of worms. All right, the next one, butterflies in your stomach. Again, I think we mentioned that this is probably similar in your languages, or at least maybe a similar idea, but it's that nervous or anxious feeling we get in our stomach. Often if we fall in love, right, we get married, for example, fall in love, or maybe even doing something before that causes anxiety. So for example, some of you, maybe you don't like to talk in public, right? If I said, talk to this group of people, you might be kind of nervous about that. I don't want to do that. Yeah, so you might get these butterflies in your stomach. Now, believe it or not, sometimes I still get butterflies in my stomach, right? When I'm teaching a new class or I'm starting a new session, I get this kind of nervous feeling because I wonder, how is it going to go? Is it going to go well? I don't know. So again, notice the man down here, he says, it feels like butterflies in my stomach. I'm kind of nervous, right? Yeah, so in this case, we get butterflies in our stomach in these kinds of situations. Now, let's talk about some of these new ones. Okay, so again, these are some new expressions. Yes, some of these expressions may seem a little strange at first, but the idea is they have some particular cultural meaning or historical meaning. Now, I don't necessarily always know what those historical things are. But for this first one, let's talk about a kettle of fish. Now, first off, a kettle is actually what you see here in the picture. That is a kettle. When you're making like in the old days, when you would make a big soup, a big pot of soup, it's like a big pot, right? You would put the soup in there and you would mix it up. So in this case, when you would carry a kettle of fish, the fish would sometimes smell, or if you spilled the fish, they would go everywhere. So a kettle of fish is kind of you're thinking, oh, it's food, right? But no, it could actually cause a big mess if you don't know how to prepare it. So in this case, when we say this is a kettle of fish, what you're saying is this is an awkward or difficult situation, or maybe even a mess. So again, maybe you go into a situation where some bad things have already happened. Maybe you're in a company where the economic situation is bad. You might say, oh, this is a real kettle of fish, right? Like this situation is pretty bad, like it's a big mess, right? So in this case, we usually use this expression when we're talking about a situation that could have been avoided. So we didn't have to have this problem, but people were not very careful. They didn't take care of the situation. So here's a great example. Over the weekend, my wife and I, we went to go look at a car. We don't necessarily need a car, but someone was selling a car. And the car was in, okay situation. It was in okay shape. But we thought, okay, but this car could be a kettle of fish, right? This car could have problems with it that we may have to fix soon. Maybe it had problems with the air conditioning and it had problems with the wheels. So this could be a problem. But the problem here, though, was that the person who had the car didn't really take care of it. So in this case, this was a situation that they could have avoided. They could have just taken care of the car, but they didn't. So maybe you've had a situation like this too, where you go into a situation and you see that something's in bad shape or in a bad situation. You might say, oh, they could have, if they were just careful, they could have stopped this problem. So in this case, when we say that's a kettle of fish, yeah, it's a situation that you could have avoided, but you didn't. Now, I just want to mention that when people use this expression, they often say it like this. This is a pretty kettle of fish, or it's a fine kettle of fish. In fact, if you look at my little cartoon here, I don't know if you recognize this movie. This is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, right? It's an old movie. And this particular dwarf here, if some of you might know his name was Grumpy. And Grumpy was always in a bad mood. So in this case, he's complaining about a situation. He's like, oh, this is a big problem. This is a fine kettle of fish. Okay, so again, when someone says they have a kettle of fish here, that means they've got a problem, a mess, and somebody did not take care of it. All right, now finally, again, maybe you have a similar expression in your language. So we think of cats, right? Cats are very curious. Cats are always getting into trouble, right? So maybe we see cats out on the street, they're always in the garbage or walking around looking into things, and often they get in trouble. So we actually have a couple of different expressions. So we said curious as a cat, right? We also have curiosity killed the cat. Now this is telling somebody that if you're too curious, well, you could get into trouble. So in this case, don't be too curious, because you might say curiosity killed the cat, right? Don't forget. But of course, we also know that cats are really good at surviving. And so often you might hear this expression, excuse me, cats have 9 lives. Now, I'm curious, guys, do you use something like this in your language? Cats have 9 lives? Do you say something like this in your language? No? Okay. Karu's thinking. All right. It's a good chance to think about your own language, right, Karu? Okay. But anyway, cats always seem to survive. They're very curious. They often get into trouble. But because they are very quick, cats are very quick animals. Often they can survive. So you often hear that cats have 9 lives, right? So in this case, that means that cats can survive these often difficult situations. So again, I don't know if you remember this movie. This was a character from the movie Shrek. This is, I guess, Puss in Boots, and he says, "I have 9 lives. Right? I can survive." Okay, well, guys, let's go back. So these are our new expressions for the day. Now we've reviewed the lazy as a dog and so on, but again, to open a can of worms, butterflies in one's stomach, a kettle of fish, and finally, curious as a cat, curiosity killed the cat. Cats have 9 lives. All right, now here's what we're going to do this morning. So something a little different from what we've done before. And that is we're going to practice these little short dialogues. So you and a partner are going to practice these little dialogues. But then you will see that after each short dialogue, so here's a first example. After the short dialogue, there is a question that you and your partner can discuss, that you can answer. So there are these little short situations. One person can be A, one person can be B. If you want to practice the dialogue 2 times, that's fine. But when you're finished with each dialogue, look at the question and take a few moments to answer it. So example 1 is a kettle of fish. Example 2, butterflies in the stomach. Example 3, curiosity killed the cat. And finally, example 4, opening a can of worms. So the idea is you'll practice the dialogues, then you'll take some time to answer the questions. Okay, so guys, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. And then we're going to go into the breakout room. Like I said, we'll do this in groups of 2. I will come in and share the link, and you guys can practice these little dialogues, and you can practice answering the questions. When we're finished, we'll come back to the main room. We'll discuss your answers to some of those questions. So let's go ahead and get our breakout rooms ready. Okay. All right, guys, our group. All right. I think everybody has returned now. Okay. So we don't have time to look at the answers for every question, but I thought maybe we would take a look at a couple of them. So for example, let's talk about situation number 2. So when do we get butterflies in our stomachs? All right. So guys, who would like to share with us? When do we get butterflies in the stomach?
When I have an exam.
So a test, right? So what about English tests?
No.
No, we don't get butterflies in the English test. Okay. So you know, we were testing students yesterday, and some of the students were like, "Oh, Mr. John, I'm nervous."
Yeah. It can happen, yes.
That's true. I think some students are. I
Yeah.
think in general, testing is a very, we feel very nervous when we test. So
Yeah.
all right. Okay. Thanks, Tiava. What are some other situations, guys? What are some other ones that give you butterflies in the stomach? What are some other ones?
Find a job.
Yeah. So maybe an interview.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking with interview. Yeah. I mean, guys, I've been a teacher for a long time, and I've hired teachers. I've had lots of people, but if I have to have an interview, I get butterflies. So when I have an interview, yeah, I feel the same way. So it doesn't matter. We all have butterflies in the stomach, right? No matter how much experience we have. So yeah, job interviews are good ones. Okay. All right. Any others? So we got job interviews, testing. What about speaking in public? How do you feel about speaking in public? Kaoru, how do you feel if you have to speak in public?
I have a big butterflies in my stomach.
Now, do you feel that way in Japanese or just in English or in both?
Both. I'm not. I'm not used to speaking in front of people.
So in your professional life, you didn't have to talk to groups of people or any sort of thing?
I had to. So every time I had a speech or I had to speak in front of people,
Uh-huh.
I always get my face red.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my ears are red, ready, red.
Yeah. Yeah.
Red, and almost I'm showing I'm nervous, I think.
So what did you do? Well, what did you do in that situation to help you?
There is a saying in Japanese that if you are nervous, you write human 3 times on your hand and swallow it.
Really?
Yeah, and then you become I mean,
You'll feel better. You
relaxed.
mean
Yeah,
relaxed?
but
Okay.
it didn't help me a lot.
I was about to say I'll try that and see what happens, but I don't know.
Just
That's
human 3 times
okay.
and swallow it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give that a shot. Okay. Yeah. Now, of course, in the conversation, this was an example here where, sometimes you hear people say, "Just imagine that everyone is wearing, something the same, like everyone's wearing sunglasses," or, sometimes they say, "Just imagine everyone in their underwear," for example. But I don't know; those make me more nervous, I think, if I imagine everyone is the same way. But the idea is that maybe you'll laugh, and then, yeah, maybe you'll feel more relaxed. So, honestly, guys, I think, to me, and in my experience, I think it's just practice. Practice, practice, practice. It takes practice to speak in front of people. It takes practice to interview, interviewing for a job. That's not a very natural thing. So I think practice is the way I would recommend, right? So let's talk about the last question. So, what do you do in these situations when someone opens a can of worms, like at a party or a family gathering? So here are your choices. Do you participate in the argument, try to stop the argument, change the topic, or do you try to leave? So let's see what you do. So Vladimir, what do you do in this situation when someone opens a can of worms? Do you try to stop the argument, change the topic, leave, or do you participate?
I'm gonna participate.
Really? So you like to discuss politics or discuss other things?
Yeah, I love participate in the open and the but some politics
Uh-huh.
and sport,
Okay.
and culture.
So you like that. You like to talk, you like to argue a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, a little bit.
Okay. All right. Well, Vladimir, I'm learning a lot of new things here. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. Brenda, what about you, Brenda? What do you do when someone discusses a topic that may be, like politics or religion or something like that? So what do you do, Brenda? Do you participate? Do you try to stop it? Change the topic? What do you do?
I'm sorry, Mr. Yon.
Hmm?
For general, I participate.
So you and Vladimir would be fighting each other right now, right?
But if I notice it's too much, I try to change the topic.
Yeah.
But the general, I like to argue.
Really? You like
If
it?
if I have something to say, if not, maybe I don't participate.
Okay. Okay.
But I like to.
Okay. Okay. Now, guys, I've known Brenda a long time now, right? So I can pretty much agree with your with your answer. I've known Brenda a long time. I know she likes to kind of fight a little bit. I like that. That's good though. I like that, Brenda. That's good. All right, Tiaba, what about you? What do you do in these situations?
If I'm in my family, I'm arguing. Yeah. I can talk until tomorrow now. Yeah.
In fact, everybody else is trying to get you to stop, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's enough,
They say
Tiaba.
I
Be
talk
quiet.
too much. Yeah. But if it's with friends, uh, I think I try to leave or stop arguing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So family is different from friends. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
That's very interesting. That's very
Yes.
interesting. Okay. Okay. All right. So Tiaba's a big talker. Kaoru, what about you? Participate, stop, change, or leave?
Between friends, try to stop the argument or change the topic.
Okay.
I'm gonna be in peace. So,
What
but
about family or husband? Or,
maybe I'm going to be aggressively
okay.
participate in the argument. Yeah.
Okay. I like that. You'll stand up. I like it.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. All right. All right, Ezra. You're the last one here. What would you do, Ezra? Participate, Try to stop it, change the topic, or leave?
I think I change the topic.
Really?
If I can't, I try to leave.
So do you just sometimes say goodbye and just go?
Maybe.
Don't even wait. I'm done. See ya. Yeah. Sometimes, Ezra, I feel that way. Sometimes I don't want to argue. I don't want to. I just say, okay, time to go. Yeah. So maybe it's maybe because we're getting old. You think so? I think so. All right. Well, I like that, Ezra. I like it. Honest. I like that. Well, okay. Well, guys, again, I'm learning lots of things about my students here. Some of you really like to talk. I like it. So that's great. All right. I think that's wonderful. Okay. So again, let's go back and review these expressions one more time. Okay. So again, we mentioned blind as a bat, blind as a mole, right? To be an eager beaver, right? These are ones we talked about last week. Lazy as a dog. But now some of our new ones again for this class, open a can of worms, right? To talk about something that maybe we should not be talking about. Butterflies in our stomach, that nervous feeling we get before some big activity, talking in public, for example, or maybe even falling in love. A kettle of fish, right? So this is a new one we discussed today. So again, a kettle of fish is like a difficult situation, but one that we could have avoided if we had just been careful. Sometimes we can't, right? Sometimes we can't. And then finally, curious as a cat. So again, maybe you have something similar in your language. When you're curious, you want to know everything. Sometimes it's good to be curious, but like cats, sometimes it could be dangerous. So in this case, cats often have 9 lives. They survive these curious situations, but of course, curiosity can also kill the cat. So just be careful. All right. Okay, guys. Well, what I'd like to do here this morning, now, again, where some of our students are missing here today. So I think what we'll do is we'll do one more activity this morning, and then I think I'll save the last activity for our final class. Okay, so I think we'll probably finish a little bit early here today. I realize some students, their kids are out of school. Maybe they were not able to join us today. But last class, we kind of introduced the topic of taking the subway. So here's what I would like to do here this morning. So the idea is there was a conversation in the Burlington English activity. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go through that conversation. You and a partner are going to do this conversation. However, I have removed some of the words from the conversation. Now, these are not maybe specific words to just taking the subway. These are just words that we often might use in asking questions. So the idea is you and a partner will go into the breakout room, see if you can practice the dialogue, but as you do the dialogue, try to fill in the missing words. Again, words that would make sense. You may not choose the exact word that's missing, but if you choose another word that makes sense, that's fine. Okay, the idea is we're trying to understand the conversation. So what I thought we would do is let's do maybe the first or second, just kind of as examples here. Okay, so again, we're going to practice the dialogue, but as we go along, how can we fill in this missing information? Now, first, everyone, pay attention that the people who were talking are the subway clerk, right, someone who works at the subway, and Maria. So let's think about what would be words that would make sense to complete the conversation. So, for example, the subway clerk says, "How can I?" And then the missing word there, you. All right, so group, what do you think might be the missing word here in the first part of the dialogue?
Help.
How can I help you?
Probably, how can I help you, right? That seems to make sense. Okay. And then for Maria, she says, how do I blank to First Avenue from Grand Central Station?
Get.
Maybe get. Yeah, I think those are both logical words. Okay, so that's the basic idea. You and your partner practice this dialogue. So one person will be the subway clerk, one person will be Maria, and then as you go through, see if you can fill in the missing word. Now, the dialogue continues on to the next page. So again, I've tried to create it so that each person has a few missing words here and there. Okay, so that's the idea. So after we finish the dialogue, we'll come back to the main room. We'll check our answers. Okay. All right. So guys, I'm going to add Brenda to a group. So we'll have one group of 3. So maybe basically 2 people can kind of do the same role. So let's go ahead and get the rooms ready again. Okay. Okay, so again, we'll go into the breakout rooms. I'll come and share the link, and then this should probably take maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Then we'll come back and check our answers. All right, I think that's just about everybody. All right. Okay, there we go. Okay, so guys, real quickly, let's go through the dialogue and let's see how we did. So we said the first one, the first line, how can I? And you guys said, how can I?
Help.
How can I help you? Okay, good. All right, Maria says, how do I?
Get.
All right, let's see. All right, very good. How do I get to First Avenue? It's easy.
Take the number 6
Maybe take. All right, let's see. Hey, very good. Take the train. Is that a local or express train? It's a local train. Do I have to?
change.
All right, so Tiaba says maybe is it change? And let's see. Congratulations. Yes. Yeah, if we follow the dialogue, it says, yes, at 14th Street, right? So we change trains. We change lines. All right, Maria says, how will I know which platform to go to? All right, so the subway clerk says there are
Numbers?
maybe
Or
numbers. That's a
names?
good guess. Maybe names.
Station or
I think those are,
indication.
yeah, I think those are all very good guesses. I think all of those are fine. In the dialogue, they specifically say signs, but I think in this case, names would be perfectly fine. And the key word there was guide, right? To guide you. So yeah, names, signs. Okay. All right. So Maria says, good. Then which line do I take? So the subway service says, get on the L train and get off at First Avenue. Where do I get my free transfer? At Union Square. Great, thanks. Don't forget to take your Metro card out of the turnstile. Yeah, again, I don't know if you guys have been to New York City or places like that, but you know we have to use a card. Often use a Metro card, right? So maybe you use these in other countries as well. Now, what's nice is my wife and I went to England almost 6 years ago, and it's funny to see how in England their technology was better than the United States. You had to tap, right? You know, you can tap the card. Now, of course, that's becoming very common, but you know, in England or Europe, they were tapping the card 6 years ago. So we never forgot our card, right? Except we would leave it sometimes in the hotel room. So we would forget it in the hotel. But in this case, yeah, don't forget to take your card. Okay, well, so there's a little dialogue that we kind of review when it comes to getting on and getting off the subway. So, all right, excellent. Okay, well, guys, here's what I would like to do. So we're gonna stop here for today. Now, the reason we're gonna stop is because you know I realize that some people are out today because their kids are in at home. So I'd like to kind of save my final activity for our final class. Okay, so in this case, I don't want to repeat the activity since we were talking about taking the subway. So I think we'll just save our last activity for then. Okay, so I think everyone probably would be okay with that. So I'm going to return to the example here. So there we go. Okay, so I'm not going to do this activity. We're going to wait, I think, until Thursday. All right. Well, anyway, so guys, speaking of Thursday, I just want to remind everybody one more time about our upcoming sort of spring and into summer schedule. So in spring, don't forget our last day is Thursday for the spring session. Now, again, some students will need to come and retest on May 28th and May 29th. I don't think that's anyone in this group here. So again, I've been sending emails to that group. So this is not involving you. So in this case, that's not relating to you. But again, Thursday is our final day for the spring. Now, for the summer session for this class, I just want to remind everybody that session 1 is very short. So session 1, I'm taking a little vacation time. So we'll just meet for a few classes in June. And then for July, now let me explain one more time. For July, you will have to return if you want to take classes in the July session. One reason is because we have a new test that everyone needs to take. Of course, this is a requirement for our program every year. Okay, and remember, June is the end of the year. July is the beginning of the year. I know it's crazy, right? That's kind of crazy. So the idea is, if you do wish to participate in the in the in the July session, I'm going to share some information on Thursday about the next registration, okay, for June and July. So the idea is on Thursday, I'm going to share that, and I'll send that to you in your email as well. Okay, so I know it's something we have to do every year for students. All right. Now, I've already sent the lesson from taking the subway, so I think at this point, if you've not finished it, you can try to complete that activity for next time. Okay, guys, well, our final class for the spring session, it's hard to believe, it's already the end, is going to be Thursday, May 23rd. So I do hope everyone can join us at that time. Okay? Well, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
John.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr.